let's talk father wounding. This is something I've been putting off because I haven't wanted to hurt my father, but by not expressing something that has been trapped inside my body for 30 plus years, I'm only hurting myself, and it's now conscious because it's coming up, it's ready to be expressed in the body. So I've done a lot of work on my father wound and my father, to this point that we can run the catchphrase in the healing world of, yeah, but I've dealt with this. We've dealt with it from here. When we level up, you get a chance to deal with it again from a higher level of consciousness. Sometimes that can be very draining, but it's very liberating when we see it as an opportunity to meet ourselves, meet an edge, and release the pain physically and emotionally, mentally, spiritually even, from ourselves, from the generations before us and the generations yet to come. And I've been putting this off, but no more. So let's first describe what the father wound is. The father wound is linked to physical and emotional abuse that we have from our fathers. It may be direct, it may be getting beat up, it may be the threat of getting beat up, it may be like passive aggressive behaviour, it may be sarcasm, it may be banter disguised as banter, but it's just a means to be aggressive and put others down as a means to avoid your own stuff. And it can be growing up without a father. Maybe they were physically absent, or like mine, they were physically present but emotionally absent. I was just constantly left with, who really is my dad? I don't really know that much about him other than what I see, and what I see is limited to what he shows. Emotionally, I never really knew him at all. And he was very guarded with his own loving practices for the most part. When I was growing up, a little different now, but the younger me never understood that. I just equated that everything that was wrong with my father was my fault somehow. Okay, so let me journey back a little bit and where this has come up for me now. I turned 40 in 7 months or so, 7-8 months, the 1st of October. And whilst I'm not having a midlife crisis, I have been thinking, you're 40, is this it? Is this what you want? Is this how you foresaw things? And this is a whole process. We know that's a story and all the rest of it, but it's a story that needs to be told. It's a story that needs to be felt and brought up. And I'm thinking, right, what do you want? It's all I've ever wanted, is just to love and be loved. And I think we all want that. And it is an inside job, yes, but we thrive as sentient relational beings by being in communion with others, whether that's friendship and platonic, or friends of the same or different sex, colleagues, clients, peers, or romantic, or extended members of our family. We thrive, and if anything these past 2.5 years or so has taught us through this pandemic is that when we have that void of not being able to connect, we value it a hell of a lot more. So the wound, the father wound or the mother wound, whatever way you're looking at it, whatever parent you're looking at, that void of what you perceive you never had is actually what helps you create the value. The wound creates the wisdom, the void creates the value. And that's good from here, and this is where most self-development, personal development stays. We stay in here, we stay in the world of conceptualization. For me, it needs to be body and mind. It needs to be somatic and cognitive. It needs to be experienced, and it needs to be philosophical. It needs to be brought in. It's not one or other, it's both. But the majority of personal development stays here. And that can then be a means and a crutch just to stay in the world of information, to avoid true transformation, which is opening this and feeling. Okay, so my father wound has been linked to a lot of cognitive things, but what's come up for me, as I said, I'm turning 40 and going, what do I really want? I want the partner. I want to let go of the story that I was once married and divorced. I was engaged to someone before that and called off. I want to let that go. Not from here, because I've done that, but let it go from my body, let it go from the guilt, the shame, the unworthy, feeling unworthy of love, the kind of apathetic approach to life, or just what's the fucking point? Or worse yet, putting on the face and pretending that everything's okay when it's not. I mean, I'm very grateful, I've got a lot to be grateful for, but That's all I've ever wanted. When I was a young kid, I'm talking 6, 7 years old, before I even knew what a French kiss was. So I wasn't practicing on my pillow because I was embarrassed because I didn't know what to do at late primary school or early high school. This is what I pictured. I was somebody to hold. And it's not that that was absent from me as a child. My mother was very expressive and seeing baby photos, so was my father. But that shifted at some point and I never had that connection. But anyway, I used to remember waking up as dreams, like 6 and 7 years old, and really like cuddling and spoon into my pillow, and there was nothing creepy or sexual about it. It was just a closeness, and I could feel it, and I could feel, I used to cry about it, and it never made any sense. I think it's definitely from previous incarnations, past lives. And without going off on a tangent here, I've got things to back that up with my North Node and one thing and another, but everything for me in this lifetime is about connection and romantic connection, because it's the area of my life that I've sabotaged time and time again. And I don't want to blame anyone, I don't want to shame anyone, don't want to name anyone. That's why I haven't spoken about this with my father. But I don't want to carry that for myself as well. So it's not about not doing the work or taking ownership and blaming my father. But it's not about protecting him either. But from this hindsight, it's about the young me. What did I need at that moment, and what did I not get? And it's okay to feel sad and angry and hurt about that. So I've always had a deep feeling of wanting to be connected. I wanted my dream partner, and I used to cuddle in, I used to kiss, and I just really pictured that closeness. It's something that I've never had in past lives. I've had like fleeting moments in this lifetime, and as I've said, I found a way to sabotage it. So that's all I've wanted. I want more joy in my life. I want more playfulness. And I'm looking back then, bear with me, this is linked to the fatherhood. I went, when were you last really playful, consistently, with no thought, oh, I better be playful here? You just were. And I go back to playing football or soccer for our American counterparts. And I first won my the first player of the year trophy I ever won is when I was 10 years old. And I won that trophy not because I was performing a certain way, it's because I was playing a certain way. And there's a difference, and hear that. I was player of the year. I wasn't performer of the year. But one of the exercises I do with clients when I'm getting them to work out their values, ask them three multiple questions, but here's 3 big ones. What's your happiest memory? What you're most proud of? And what's your most profound, meaningful experience, for the good or the bad? And it's changed over the years, but my happiest memory was, there's 2 that comes into my head. It was the feeling when I got married. I felt sick, I felt dizzy, I burst into tears, not because I was sad, I was like, I couldn't believe that I was married and I was getting the thing that I wanted. Before that though, my happiest memory was winning Player of the Year. I remember it very vividly. I had an LA Raiders black and white thing on, I had a wee middle shade. My sister was just all smiley, she was looking at the wrong camera, she just didn't know what was going on, she just knew it was excitement. My mum was smiling and had her arm around me, and my dad was off to the side. And God bless him for this, because he just wanted it, oh my God, it hits me every time. He just wanted the moment to be about me. And I remember seeing it, his hands in his pockets, and he's just looking at me like that, just complete pride and adoration. And I've took that snapshot and I've kept it. And then I abandoned what got me to the dance, the play. I then made everything about making my dad look and feel like that. And everything became about his approval. Now when I played football and I had a good game, my father wouldn't shut up about it. He would talk to anybody that would listen to him for 2 seconds. Oh, I saw the wee man today. He was looking at me, and then this little reverse ball, I pulled this thing at the sky, hit a volley for 25 yards, free kick in the top corner, whipped this corner right in, nearly scored for the corner. Oh, I played this wee 1-2, oh, it was just amazing. Like I had the words of affirmation. What I never had was I love you. I'm proud of you, just the way you are. Everything had a connotation of having to be a high achiever or a performer or a winner. If I had a bad game, conversely, he wouldn't speak to me, literally, sometimes for weeks. And then I get scouted from a lot of professional teams when I was 12, and then I had more because then it became a story that my dad would tell other people. I was training with Celtic, he's training with Kilmarnock, training with United, Dundee United, I watched them all, he ran amok in the Scottish Cup, Hearts were inquiring about. He's playing with Ayrshire schoolboys, like Ross Matthew at Scotland, like it all became this, I just became a show pony. And again, I got addicted to the high of the praise that I couldn't handle the reprimand of the low. And I could hear him and my mum argue in the living room every weekend, because it got to a point my confidence was so shattered, I was so scared to make a mistake that I made more. And my confidence went through the floor. I get released from the professional teams. I ended up manifesting an injury. That became another story that I blamed. I didn't make it because of the injury. I didn't make it because I wasn't meant to make it, or I would have made it. So let's just say that first and foremost. But I loved football. It's all I wanted to do as a kid. Went to high school and started dating girls in the year above me. They were like young women, to be honest, and they were French kissing and more. Slippy hand syndrome, and I'm just like, that scared the shit out of me. I'm like, I just want to kick the ball, I just want to play football with my pals. I don't want to do any of that. It's all I could think of, because I loved it. If I wasn't training 3-4 times a week, I was out playing football in the street. It's all I wanted to do, because I loved the game. And he took that away from me, man. He took it away from me. He wouldn't speak to me for weeks. He'd walk past me in the hall, look me up and down and sigh and shake his head in disgust. And I've made excuses for that my whole life, but that's not fucking normal. Now, my dad's a good man. Lot of amazing loving attributes, so fucking kind and generous. But I've bypassed all that hurt that I've had to remind myself, because I didn't want to shame myself for being bad, or I didn't want to feel guilty about miscalling my father. But part of me really fucking hates him for taking that away from me. I would make a mistake in the game, instead of just brushing it off, like my coach and everyone would be like, unlucky Spark, Sparky's my nickname, unlucky Spark, next time son, keep your head up. I wouldn't even hear that. And I knew, you know that way you know someone's looking at you, my coach is there, but I knew here my dad's staring at me with the desk there, and I'd be here like this. And I'd eventually look up, and he'd just look at me, he'd be standing there like this. He'd turn his back, he'd walk away, and then he'd walk back and lean to this one side and just go. And that really triggered the shit out of me in other relationships. If we're having an argument or a heated discussion or a debate, or just a difference of opinions, whatever it may be, and my ex-partner rolled her eyes or pulled her face, it would fucking cut me, it would rile me up so much. But behind that anger there's always fear and guilt and shame and sadness, grief, unworthiness. And that was it. It took me back to, I'm not good enough. I've disappointed them. And by not healing this wound at the deep level and really understanding what it was, I've sabotaged every relationship I've ever been in. Now understand, this is not my father's fault. It's my perspective of the information that was coming into my senses and how I've interpreted that and the meaning I've gave it. But it's been trapped in the subconscious, because this is from when I was 10. I bring it back, I turned 40 in October. 30 years. I've been everything but serious, everything but playful. Life has just been serious. Everything became about performance. Started off as quantity to show off to the boys and performing for them, how many girls could I sleep with. Then it became about, then I understood that it wasn't really about my pleasure per se, or that was the story I ran then. I was like, let's make it about their pleasure, let's perform for them, so they can then go and tell all their friends, and then I can do the same and perform for all them, because they'll want to sleep with me because they think I'm good. everything became about, all my pleasure was attached to performing for somebody else. In business, in friendships, I would act up, I would do impersonate. And I mean, I like doing that stuff anyway. I've forgotten to do that just for the sake of doing it and having a laugh. It's coming back, but I would stand up and I would show off. So like, give me attention. Tell me I'm good, tell me I'm funny. Tell me I'm good looking, tell me you like what I'm wearing. Everything became about needing approval from other people. I became the people pleaser, the perfectionist, the performing monkey. Because if I didn't perform, I didn't get love. That was the story I ran. If I performed well at football, my dad loved me. If I didn't, he never spoke to me. Not only that, my mum and dad would argue about it. So the pressure for me to perform wasn't just about getting my dad's love. The pressure to perform was, if I don't perform well, my mum and dad are going to argue. I don't want my mum and dad fighting. I don't want them fighting because of me. So I need to be good. Then my mum would shout at my dad, "Oh, that's only a fucking game of football, Tam. There's 2 kids in this house." My little sister's 4 years younger than me, so when I was 10, she'd be 6, 11, 7, 12, 8. She was just a baby as well, really. And I would hear my mum saying like that, she gets dragged from pillar to post every fucking weekend to watch football. And nobody gives her a second thought. Guilt. Shame. I'm a bad big brother. I'm a bad person. I'm a bad son. My mum and dad are arguing because of me. My sister's not getting her childhood because so I just get into this thing where I don't deserve to play football. I'm not worthy of playing football. So I manifested injuries, I manifested being released and being rejected. It got to a point that I never even get picked for my actual school team. I was a substitute. Every time I get the ball, it would go under my foot and bounce off and go out for a throw in. And I was good, man. I was good. Because I loved to play. I loved to just express myself. I felt free. And then the freedom turned into a prison very quickly. And I've carried the weight of that about for fucking years. And 2 weeks ago, I've been feeling all this stuff. The anger's been really coming up. I mean, I had cancer, deep solar plexus, deep skin cancer in my solar plexus, all about identity and ego and anger and fire and action and who you are in the world, that persona. I've had no idea who I was because it's been about everybody else. I wasn't comfortable in my own skin, so I had to put on these masks and these costumes to play up for everyone else. And then I've equated that I get sick because I was working too hard, because that's what my ex-wife said to me. She said, you put yourself under too much pressure. I've never seen anyone go as hard as that. I knew you were going to run into some issues. So I equated with poor health from working too hard, and I feel that our marriage never really recovered after that. We were only married 6 months when I get the cancer diagnosis. It just get very hard. Again, this is a story, but it's a story again that needs to be told and felt, to be released and rewritten. So I've been hiding from doing the deep work and helping more people because I equate, well, what's the point of working hard? Because if I work too hard, then I get sick. And then if I get sick, I don't have the love and partnership that I want. I get divorced. All I've ever wanted, as I said, from a young kid, is to be loved and to be loving and to feel lovable. But all I've ever wanted from a young kid before I really played football was I wanted to be lovable just for being me. Not to be loved because I'm performing a certain way, not to be loved with conditions. And the conditions weren't conditions, they were fucking pressures. I was a kid. And he took the fun away. Remember doing a Facebook Live, my brother Steph Stefan does. I've said this in multiple things because it really means something to me, but I was saying it from here rather than embodying it. When play becomes your purpose, performance becomes your product. Meaning when you do what you love for no other reason for doing it, you will naturally perform better and you'll be more productive. Play was not my purpose, performance was my purpose. Performing for my dad was my purpose. My whole life I've had this deep-seated wound of chasing my father's approval. So last 2 weeks ago, I was fasting, the anger was coming up even more, and I said, I really want to be out in nature. And I've been saying this since I arrived, and I've never really understood why. Now I know. I just wanted to be out in the jungle or out in the nature and fucking scream. I mean, primal scream, clench, feel everything fucking rise up, and every cell of my body, having the boys and the brothers hold me back while I fucking scream and let this out, because I am not holding it anymore. And I struggled. And Mount Batur is the smallest of the 4 highest peaks here in Bali, and it's not a hard climb. I've done it twice before. Ironically, the first time I did it was at sunset on my father's 70th to honour him. My dad has got zero value on health, nature, mountain climbing, none. But I'm doing this for him. I can't even climb a fucking volcano without making it about my dad. The irony when I went to do it this time, and I didn't realise that till I was climbing up, going like, I wasn't as hard the last time. And I was like, Jesus, the last time, again, I was doing it for my dad, to honour him turning 70 and me not being in Scotland when it happened. This time it's hard, not to do with I'm juicing and detoxing and feeling a wee bit flu-like and purging. It's hard because I'm doing it for me, and I don't really know how that feels. Anyway, I got to the top, and my brother Jerry McGrade says, you go and do what you need to do. And I walked away up to the highest peak myself, and I just screamed, fuck you! Fuck you! And I just let it all out. I was like, you wouldn't think I boxed for years. I was fucking throwing these crazy punches in the middle of the air, kicking the side of the volcano, fucking, and I swung this hook this hard, and I'm not picturing hitting my dad, but the anger's directed towards him. And I swung around that much, I did like a full 360, and I fell to my knees, and I just burst into tears. Then I was sick, like violently sick, and I hadn't had any food that week. I was doing a liver cleanse, all about healing stagnant energy in the liver, which is usually attributed metaphysically to anger. So I had nothing to come up other than bile. And I just burst into tears, man, like really breaking my heart. I'm like, why was me playing not enough for you? Why was that not enough? Why did you have to take the fun away from me? And then I stood up, and I didn't think any of this, I just felt it. And I just screamed at the top of the volcano, looking out across all the ridge. And I was like, I fucking refuse to carry the weight of your disappointment anymore. And those words rung so fucking true for me. And I just felt like that. And the sun was coming up at this point as well. And the tears then turned into that of grace. Now I can intellectually see how my dad behaving in certain ways has benefited multiple areas of my life. I can see the light to the dark and all of it. But in my body, I hadn't fully expressed it because I didn't want to have the guilt of hurting my father by miscalling him. But I'm denying my reality, little Mark. He hurt me by doing that. He put pressure on me. Not just in football, it was the same academically because he was a principal. If I performed on the football pitch and performed in my classroom, my dad loved me. If I didn't, he never. That's a lot of burden to carry for 30 years. And I haven't given up about meeting my equal and opposite. And this is a big part of it because I don't want to take that anger into another relationship and turn into the very man that I didn't like growing up, which was the passive aggressive stuff, the sarcasm, the withdrawnness, the shut down, the inability to emote, to communicate. People walking in eggshells because you don't know what mood he's in. I'm not doing that in a relationship again. So I'm proud of myself. And I'm grateful for my father for giving me all these deep awareness, deep connection to myself. But maybe that's for another post. This vlog is about allowing the younger you to feel the weight of that abandonment and that absenteeism, physically or emotionally, whatever it was most prevalent to you. The abuse that you received, physically, mentally, emotionally, whatever it was, It might be an absolute truth because that happened, or it may just be a perception. I mean, it's all perspective anyway, but it may just be what you perceive, what younger you perceive. Please don't look back with 2020 hindsight. Don't shame your inner child. Give them what they needed back then. And what my inner child needed was a voice to shout at my dad going like, you are hurting me. Just please stop it. Let me play. Stop living your life vicariously through fucking me. I don't need that pressure. Let me play. Because when I play, I win things. And that makes you happy, brilliant. But me winning things shouldn't be happening. My enjoyment, my freedom, my self-expression, my creativity, my fun, my happiness, that should mean more to you than a fucking trophy or a medal. Get off my back, Dad. Stop projecting your disappointment and things in your life that you never done onto me. Sort your shit out. Leave me alone. These are things I wanted to say. Never done it because I didn't want to hurt him. 30 years, guys. Cancers, Lyme's disease, really volatile relationships, high sex and pleasure and connection, and then boom, cancel culture, slagging, gossip, drama, false allegations legally against the police as well. Things I've done, projecting my anger onto other people, getting involved, being violent, being aggressive, getting myself into trouble. Ownership, my stuff goes both ways. But I attracted people that would make me feel less than, to confirm that subjective bias of not enoughness. Then I wonder why my health deteriorated, because I've got this energy and it has nowhere to go. It's not in motion, so there's not it's not a healthy emotion anymore. It's stuck energy. It's not in flow. It has no ease. It's diseased. Cancer and Lyme's disease, something from me was literally eating me from the inside out. I wasn't comfortable in my own skin. Solar plexus had no idea who I was. Everything was performing for everybody else. And of course I sabotaged my marriage because part of me didn't want to be happier than my father. I didn't want to hurt him like that. This may sound silly, but this is subconsciously playing out. When you come consciously aware of it, it's about owning the truth, the absolute truth that you 100% know to be true, not the perception or the story that you're running. But to collapse the story and rewrite it, you need to first be aware what is the story, and can you accept the light and the dark within that? Can you accept that you have these negative emotions and feelings and thoughts, and can you bring them to the surface to be expressed? Because shutting them down only ends in one way. Or 4 ways actually, 2 I's, 2 D's. Injury, illness, disease, death, and it's very linear. The body's giving you feedback. And if you don't listen to it, you're going to end up in the D side of things. And I don't want that anymore from me. I want to live. Here's the irony. When I released this, I made a date with my inner child that I made a promise that every day last week I would take this ball that I bought and I would go up the pitch to play football, to just love it. Not to score goals, not to anything. And here's the irony. A guy approached me and asked me to come and play with him. He says, do you want to come and join our team? Australian guy. And I went straight into the wounded inner child. I'm too old, I'm nearly 40, I'm not good enough, I've not played in 10 plus years, And I just laughed because I was literally telling the story to my client. We were walking around the field. I was literally telling her about the epiphanies that I was having through hearing this, really hearing the root cause of my father wounding. And this guy interrupted us as I was talking about it to offer me that, and I was like, if that's not an opportunity to then fully heal it by embodying it, can I at 40 years old go back to playing, and can I play the way I wanted to play? Can I make play my purpose, not performance? Can I just play for the sake of playing? So even though I felt, and I had all this shit, because I've had 30 years of thinking, acting and feeling in that way that I'm not good enough, I became aware of it. I was smarter than my own brain. I went, you know what, mate? I'm not going to be fit, and I've got a lot of other commitments with things, but I'll turn up, I'll do my best I can, and I would love to join. This is very recent to what's happened just now. If this speaks to you in any way, if you need more help healing the father wound or the mother wound within, hit me up, comment your biggest takeaway below, and I would love to help you. God bless you all. Thank you for listening.